Welcome to Grandma's Verdict, and we invite you to watch a video with our new original story. Rita was a good woman, beautiful and stately, well, maybe a little loud and a little sharp at times, but she had it all. Except for luck in her family life. No matter how hard she tried, she just couldn't find that one and only. She was tired of looking. The years went by, and ordinary female happiness never appeared on the horizon. Sometimes she would think, well, here it is, that very happiness. But upon closer inspection, it would turn out to be not it again. And so it was this time. Edward would come to her store, where she worked as a saleswoman to fix the wiring. Tall, smart, though very thin. But Rita wasn't upset about that. As long as there are bones, the meat will grow on them. A spark immediately flew between them. Rita offered him tea. Edward did not refuse. One thing led to another, and Rita learned that Edward was single, well, in the sense that he wasn't married, lived with his mother, and just like her, Rita dreamed of simple human happiness. She immediately thought, God has finally remembered me. Edward looked at her with interest. They agreed that Rita would come to the city on her day off and they would go to the movies. She went. It was nothing special, of course, a waste of time. Ed laughed his head off the whole movie at some stupid jokes. He didn't even look at Rita once. She sat there thinking that in that time, she could have weeded at least 5 rows of potatoes. After the movie, Edward asked, "You didn't like it?" Rita shrugged. "I don't know, it's more fun in the country." Edward smiled. "Well, invite us over and we'll come." "Us?" "Well, yes, me and my mother. I can't just leave her here alone." Rita quickly changed the subject. She wasn't ready for such a turn of events. 2 weeks later, Edward did come to see her, but without his mother, because Rita had said she wasn't ready for such a meeting. They spent the evening in endless worries about his mother, who was left in the city. Then, after they had had a drink, Edward walked around the house and made plans for where his mother would live, and where they would live so as not to disturb her. "Ed, are you even listening to me? I'm not going to live with your mother. I'm not even going to live with you yet, let alone with your mother. As I understand it, she's quite alive, mobile, and doesn't need care." "Rita, that's what I was afraid of." "What exactly?" "My mother told me right away to take a closer look. She said that if a woman needs a man, then she needs his mother because they are a single whole. And if a woman wants to separate a man from his mother, then she is not a good woman." Rita looked at Ed for a while and thought, well, he must be joking. But no, he was completely serious. She stood up, sighed, and began to clear the table. "Rita, why are you clearing everything away? We're having such a good time. I have to get up early tomorrow." She noticed the greedy look with which Edward eyed the bottle of liqueur and sighed again. She made a bed for her guest on the summer veranda. She couldn't just send him back to the city on foot at night. Edward nodded. "You're a good woman after all. My mother was very worried that you would start hitting on me. But you have to approach it with all responsibility, go to the doctors, have a checkup. You're not a young girl. Someone has obviously been with you. I wouldn't want any problems." Rita turned to him, even held out her hand to grab him by the scruff of the neck and throw him out to the dogs, but she restrained herself. They called her a psycho in the village. She wouldn't give them fodder for gossip. Cole, the neighbor, would be the first to laugh at her. He was always laughing at her. He said he even had a notebook where he marked the souls she had ruined with crosses. He rarely infuriated her to the point of madness. Cole had once been the first guy in the village. Then he went into the army, served, then served again. He only came back once to bury his mother, and then left again. And then a few years ago he appeared. He was just turning 40 and he was, you see, retired. "Rita." She remembered, even opened her mouth. "You're lying." He laughed, lifted her chin back into place with his palm and said, "Careful, a crow will fly in." From that moment on, Rita simply hated him. The bastard, he was even teasing her. Every time after her unsuccessful attempt to get married, he would lecture her on the dangers of promiscuity. She had thrown everything at him over the fence. She had even thrown a pitchfork at him once. She heard a cry, something heavy fell, and Cole fell silent. She stood for a bit, then called out, Cole, why are you so quiet? In response, silence. She went to the fence. Cole, are you gone? And then through a gap between the boards, she saw that he was lying in the grass. Rita rushed to him with a scream, ran in, and fell to her knees beside him. Cole, Cole. Strangely, the pitchfork was lying nearby. It wasn't sticking out of him, as Rita had expected. Maybe it had just hit him on the head? She leaned over Cole's face to listen if he was breathing. And the bastard grabbed her and kissed her. And not in a childish way. How she had screamed at him, what words she had not called him. But it was all like water off a duck's back to him. Early in the morning, so that the villagers wouldn't see, so that he could catch the very first bus, she woke Edward up. Come on, get up. The bus is in 20 minutes. Rita, what's wrong with you? I've never gotten up this early. And besides, I need to wash up, have some coffee. You remember that for the future, please. Rita finally raised her voice. Ed, I'm not going to remember anything. Got it? And there can be no future for us. Live with your mother and don't think about anything. Edward snorted and started to get dressed. My mother told me right away that you were a bad woman because you forbade her to come. Your mother is absolutely right. Come on, hurry up while no one is around. She went outside and of course saw Cole on the other side of the fence. He smiled broadly. Good morning, neighbor. I see you're seeing off a guest. Why so early? Rita squeezed her eyes shut, then grabbed Edward's hand and dragged him to the gate. She wouldn't answer. She would pretend she didn't hear anything. But Cole didn't let up. Why didn't you let the man sleep in? That's not very humane. Rita pointed with her hand where to go and returned to the yard. Cole, tell me. Isn't it time for you to get a life and stop spying on me? Cole laughed. What if you stop looking for some losers and pay attention to me? To you? Why would I do that? Well, why else? So we can get married, have a bunch of kids, and then live happily ever after. Rita laughed. Cole, what kids? Just like you? No way, look elsewhere. Interesting. And what makes you think that my kids would be not so good? Rita didn't answer, just went back into the house. Why the hell was he constantly bothering her? Didn't he see that she didn't like him? Or did he need to be told that to his face? Rita closed the door and went to bed. Today was her day off. First, she would get some sleep and then she would calmly do her chores. About 2 hours later, some sound woke her up. She listened. Well, of course. The crazy neighbor was chopping wood. On purpose, of course, so she couldn't sleep. Rita looked at the clock. 8 a.m. And you couldn't complain because everyone in the village starts making noise earlier. She closed her eyes and tried to go back to sleep. But how? It felt like the axe was chopping right next to her window. Rita got up, made herself some coffee, went out onto the porch and sat down. Cole didn't see her, but she could watch him calmly. Well, he was no Edward. His muscles were practically rippling. His back was glistening with sweat. And under his right shoulder blade, Rita flinched. It looked like a scar from a wound, so that's why they sent him into retirement. And she hadn't known how many times she had tried to get under his skin by calling him a pensioner. Good morning again. Cole smiled, reached for his shirt, then waved his hand and didn't put it on. Rita, unexpectedly for herself, asked, Coffee, hard worker? You didn't let me sleep anyway. He looked at her in amazement and nodded. I'd love some. Rita went into the house to make coffee, and when she returned, Cole, already in his shirt, was sitting on her porch and stroking her cat. Rita, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to wake you. I didn't think you were sleeping at all. It's okay. I'll get more done, maybe. Do you want me to help? She looked him over and nodded. You know I'd love that. Just stay out of my sight all day. Something flickered in his eyes, but Rita didn't have time to understand what. She didn't see Cole all day. It was as if he had gone somewhere. Or maybe he had really gone to the city, for example. It was already getting dark when a car with checkers stopped at the gate. A woman got out of it. She looked around squeamishly and fixed her gaze on Rita. You, Rita? She really didn't like that tone, but she still answered, I am. And who are you? I am Anna, Ed's mother. Rita could hardly contain her laughter. Ed's. What, did little Ed get lost? The woman's eyes flashed. Listen, you. You have caused my son a moral trauma. How dare you talk to him like that? Turning him against his own mother? And then for some reason you didn't see him to the bus. Some crazy rooster attacked him. Ruined his suit, inflicted wounds. Rita, somewhat confused, repeated. A rooster. Yes, a rooster. If I had known it was so dangerous here, I would never have let him come here. Now I'm going to sue both you and the rooster's owner. Well, the owner, I suppose, but what for me? To pay my boy for his moral damages. Rita couldn't hold back any longer. She burst out laughing, yes, so much so that she had a real hysterical fit. Laughed until she cried, until she had a stitch in her side and she just couldn't stop. Ed's mother was still shaking her fist at her, calling her some bad names, but Rita didn't hear it. When the car drove away, Rita just collapsed on the grass and burst into tears. Hey, don't cry. What are you crying for? Here, have some water. Cole sat down on the grass next to her and handed her a large mug. Rita grabbed it and drank it in one gulp. She put it in front of her and sat in silence. Cole was also silent for a while, and then he nudged her with his shoulder. Let's go to my place, we'll have a shot of moonshine. I have one, about 140 proof. And we'll forget everything. Rita smiled through her tears. I don't drink moonshine. Well, do you want some wine? I have some there. I don't understand them at all. Friends bring it sometimes. Come on, I promise I won't hit on you. We'll just sit. Rita walked around the house while Cole was setting the table on the veranda. It was strange, but his place was somehow cozy clean. And on the wall were photographs. Cole in uniform, Cole with his friends. Rita, come on, I'm all set. Look. He handed her a beautiful bottle and she laughed. You've never seen anything like this. Cole kept his promise, he never teased her once. Never reminded her of Ed. And when it got completely dark, he took out his guitar. What, you play? I also sing. Cole smiled. Rita didn't even notice how the time flew by. It was already beginning to get light outside when she remembered herself. Oh, it's getting late. I have to go home. Cole put the guitar aside and held out his hand. Come on, I'll walk you. Or the wolves will eat you. When she put her hand in his, it was as if she had been struck by an electric shock. And she woke up to a whisper, remembered everything, squeezed her eyes shut and smiled. Yes, she was not at home, not in her own bed, and she didn't know what to do now, but at the same time she was absolutely happy. And there in the other room someone was whispering. I didn't understand anything. Rita quietly went to the door. Well, what do you know? Cole was sitting on the floor. In front of him was a plate of milk and something else, and opposite him sat her cat. She had completely forgotten about him. Cole was quietly explaining to him. You see, my friend, I can't wake her up. Let her sleep. Here's some milk and meat for you. You eat and sleep until your mistress comes. But my food is no worse. What are you looking at? The cat was listening attentively, its head tilted slightly to the side. Then, after Cole's persuasion, it finally took a step forward and began to eat. Cole breathed a sigh of relief. What a smart guy. We'll definitely be friends. I just hope your mistress doesn't wake up in her old mood in the morning. You know what she's like? Oh, there's no one else like her, I know that for sure now. Thought she was. Yes, brother, there's definitely no one like her. Rita smiled, remembering Cole's amazement when he realized that at over 30, he was her first. A floorboard creaked under her foot. The cat and Cole turned their heads in her direction, and Rita realized that she couldn't hide anymore. She came out, caught Cole's frightened look and smiled. Is anyone going to feed me? Cole jumped up. Yes, they are. He came up to her and looked into her eyes. Rita, how long I've been waiting for you. She smiled, pressed herself against his chest, and closed her eyes. Can people really be this happy? If you like the story, please support me with a subscribe button. Your support is very important to me and my channel. Thank you. See you soon.